Welcome you to another edition of the Semaj MindSpa. With a reminder, spa, removing of toxins, provide you in enlightening, uplifting, energizing information. Mind, the ultimate frontier. That's where consciousness resides, and you can become the best you can be. You can transform yourself as a result of what takes place in your mind. I want to talk to you today about one of the most important issues going on now, the whole issue of the coronavirus vaccine and the threat, our existential threat to our existence, vaccine hesitancy. For the past year, I have been doing a lot of research on the psychological impact of the coronavirus. For the last couple of months now, I've been focused on how do we get past vaccine hesitancy. If we don't get to herd immunity globally, nationality, community wise, organization wise, we are all at risk. What do I mean by that? The virus continues to multiply until such time as it is contained and controlled. I want to share with you some of my insights because companies have a responsibility. How will you save yourself? How will you make sure that your managers, your team members, your customers are protected? We have been working with companies, helping them to help their managers so they can help their team members. And this is how we do it. Just want to share with you some insight into how we go about doing it so that if we can be of assistance to you, we're more than happy to. So this is really the process. So give me a few minutes and we will walk through the process with you. Now, let me share my screen. What we say, we reverse vaccine hesitancy with a psychosocial approach. With a little help from Sun Tzu, the art of war. That's how we mix it, that's how we make it happen, because it takes important components. It's a psychosocial process we use. Now, you cannot change objectors. Those at the end, the objection end, that's hardwired to a large extent until they shift themselves to the hesitancy. But you can influence the hesitant and the resistors towards acceptance. 38% of the Jamaican population is in this category. Other cultures vary in terms of up or down, but we work largely with the hesitancies. At the same time, the objectors, they will literally start shifting themselves slowly based on the methodology that we utilize. We've identified 11 cognitive biases. People talk a lot about the number one, the conspiracy beliefs, but believe me, there are 10 more. Distorted risk bias, collective good over personal choice, the reverse, personal choice over collective good, confirmation bias, availability bias, the illusion of causality. Yes, people who fight against science don't understand that causality is not the same thing as correlation. They frequently mix things up. Vaccine distrust bias, fear of needle, one of the biggest, especially among men. Profiling bias. Some people, it's just about being profiling. Say, look, I stand out from the crowd. I'm not going along with the crowd. And then the omission bias. Interesting one. You know what this says? I rather do nothing and something happen to me than me go do something and something happen to me. And they usually follow it up. If I dirt, I dirt. So that you need to know what you are treating, what is the nature of the problem. How does this person figure in? We have identified 11 approaches that you need to use in terms of your conversation with these people, the motivational interviews, how you shoot for the middle, work with those in the middle, how to have a conversation, the importance of speaking in the language of the person, how to understand the doubts going through the person's mind, how not to get bogged down, understand that facts won't necessarily help, how to simplify the concept of science, how to talk about safety, crowdsourcing, how to not use blame and use humor instead, how to understand the nature of the mistrust, how to factor the religious arguments into it. Yes, the heads of the Catholic Church, the Jewish religion, Islam, even Christian Science have all endorsed the vaccine. How to focus on the future. Do you want to spend Christmas with your family and children? Do you want to go to your children's graduation and your son's wedding? How to get personal, share your story, how to offer help. Believe it or not, some people just need some help with transportation or childcare to get to the process. How to be patient. Yes, we can work through all of these with you. The method we use, either in person or media and social media, to share the 11 categories. What this happens, once the individual hears that your bias is only one of 11, some resistors will now be predisposed to some level of self-doubt. Because I thought I was the only one. I thought I had all the answers. And now cognitive dissonance trips in. For the vax supporters, they will now have a tool that they can use to interact with their friends and associates. So that's how we get past this process. It can be done. In person, we can use mass media, we can use traditional media. What we provide is a psychosocial vaccine. We also provide webinar training for the ground troops. Those are individuals who have to work with others. It can be done. We can convert. Let me summarize what we do in a little sequence: humanity versus the coronavirus. And we use the art of war to package the approach. Phase 1. Sun Tzu in the Art of War says, every battle is won before it is fought. Well, if we had deployed a full behavioral defense against the enemy, the virus, mask, sanitize, social distance, guess what? We could have avoided the expensive and deadly medical defense of ICU, ventilators, and vaccine. The enemy would have been defeated in probably 2 weeks. We missed that. But we still have that option. That's phase 1. Phase 2. Sun Tzu says the opportunity for defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. All right? So in phase 2, we can sow internal discord. Present the information on the 11 variation of the bias to the believers. Some will begin to doubt the validity of their own position as a result of cognitive dissonance. Some of them will start to move from the definitely not position to the maybe position. Some of the not sures and maybes will begin to quietly find reasons to move to yes. Some will begin to hide and joke. Phase 3. Sun Tzu says in all fighting, the direct method may be used for joining battle. But indirect methods will be needed to secure victory. So how do we translate this? Many defectors are there in the war. Many would prefer that their decision and action remain secret. One of the biggest problems we're making in Jamaica is that the majority of our vaccination efforts are public spectacles. Many of the persons who are deeply steeped in the objection, even if they want to change, they couldn't just come into the public like that and turn up in front of everybody. So give them the option to hide and joke. Provide private facilities. Make every doctor, every pharmacist available. Some people just don't want to go talk to nurse, go talk to doctor, go talk to pharmacist. When they go in and close the door, you don't know what will happen. Many will just use that as an opportunity to hide and joke. Phase 4, prepare the ground troops. The Art of War says you will need the ground troops. The Air Force can't win battles by themselves. Press conferences can't win battles. Press releases can't win battles. Train your ground troops with the 18 antidotes that we present. Use this against the not sures and the maybes. Some will begin to move to yes. Some will immediately start to hide and joke. Very important stance. Phase 5. Sun Tzu says that when you surround an army, leave an outlet free. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. We have some hardcore resistors in phase 5. But due to the cognitive dissonance and the antidote, some will move to maybe, and with time to yes. Some will be convinced, listen carefully, only when they get first-hand experience as somebody close to them gets sick and some start to die. The hardcore. Phase 6. There are some who say no retreat, no surrender. Well, the art of war tells us that some will fall on their swords. It is says that the wise man learns from the mistake of the fools, but the fool from his own mistake. We will have some deathbed confessions and conversions, inevitably. Phase 7. Darwin was right in the survival of the fittest. We are witnessing natural selection at work. Charles Darwin said it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. Those who are not responding to change, chances are will not survive. Phase 8, the end of the war. Sun Tzu says that victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Once we deploy a full behavioral defense against the virus, the enemy, mask, sanitize, social distance, we can avoid the expensive and deadly medical defense. The enemy will now be defeated. So, whatever phase of the war we are, folks, we can win the battle still. We can still. Yes, vaccine resistance is a behavioral disorder, and we know how to win that battle. You can check on YouTube on the Lakim Semaj coronavirus lessons. You will see 8 lessons that I have presented. The law of the universe, the law of leadership, how we can learn what has happened with the leadership. The 7 countries with the best response to the coronavirus pandemic have been led by women. Breath. What has happened to our breathing over the last year? What has happened to our sense of touch over the last year? We are now in the new world of work thanks to coronavirus. What are the new rules? Relationships have been sadly many destroyed. Last year was the largest number of divorces in a long time in history. This year will be even worse because more and more people, the pressures of the lockdowns and the financial strains and the emotional strain destroying many relationships. Lesson 7, the other pandemic, mental health, this has begun. We're seeing it in terms of the pandemic fatigue and all the stresses associated with it. And the greater pandemic is to come because we don't have the facilities to cope with the mental health issues. And finally, education. Education going forward would be hybrid, a combination of face-to-face and online. But we were not prepared for this. Upwards of 200,000 of children in Jamaica alone have had little to no educational impact. This has not just impacted pedagogy, but worst of all, the socialization process. We will pay for this dearly over the next 10 to 20 years. So, you contact us. We can assist. info@aboveorbeyondjm.com. You can call me at 876-948-5627 or 954-701-5208. We operate in Kingston, Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton. You can book online aboveorbeyondjm.com. We are geared to assist you to get past this. We can do it. We can survive. We can get it right. If we don't, failure is not an option. The pandemic has created the most significant upheaval on earth in our lifetime. But we can win, folks. We can survive vaccine hesitancy. we can help.